Okay, so as you guys can tell by the title of the video, we are talking about Transformers Rise of the Beasts. This is my spoiler review, so spoilers are going to be in the back, regular review is going to be up front. So, for those of you who are Transformers fans, you will like this movie. The action scenes look really good. It's still produced by Michael Bay. It's not directed by Michael Bay. It's produced by Michael Bay. The designs for most of the Transformers look really good. I actually came out really liking this movie. Now, I will say I do like the first Transformers movie and the third Transformers movie better than this one, but this one was better than the second Transformers movie, and was definitely better than The Last Night, and was better than Age of Extinction, and it was better than Bumblebee, so it was definitely up there. Some of the choices that they do for this movie, towards the beginning, I thought were really bold on showing and introducing the Maximal characters and whatnot. And I'm going to be frank with you, I never watched Beast Wars. I never cared to watch Beast Wars. But I did see the Netflix Transformers show, whatever the hell it was. Earthrise or something, I think is what it was called. And I had some fun with that. The Maximals were not my favorite part of the show, but it wasn't bad. The overall storyline that they chose worked really well. So, the positives for this movie is definitely the CGI looked really good. The story I thought was really intriguing. The villain, oh my god, the villain was another really cool part of the movie. The story arcs that most of the Transformers go through, I thought worked really well. The teasing stuff that they do in it works for some people, it doesn't work for everybody. There is a mid-credit scene. There's no post-credit scene. There's nothing at the very end of the movie. It's just one mid-credit scene, just kind of introducing one thing, and that's about it. All the characters were very likable. Mirage does stick out as one of the top, I guess, Transformers of this movie, because he has a really big moment towards the end. A lot of the jokes and stuff, it's hit or miss. I mean, it's Michael Bay style humor, because they were kind of taking inspiration from what came before. Because at the moment, this is not a full reboot. It's a reboot, prequel, sequel. Essentially, it's still a prequel to the first 5 Michael Bay films, but it's also a soft reboot sequel from Bumblebee. So, I don't know if this is confirmed to be a reboot yet. I'm kind of hoping it's a reboot because there's not a whole lot of Michael Bay isms in here aside from like some of the design choices and some of the Transformers, and definitely some of the jokes and stuff that they throw in there. Some of that's definitely hit or miss. I thought the movie was extremely funny in some cases. There were several moments that made me laugh. Not hard, but they made me laugh. There are also some emotional scenes. I was surprised. Whoever directed this movie, I can't think of their name off the top of my head. They tried to put in some really good emotional scenes in there. One of which hit me, but it didn't make me cry. It almost did, but we'll get into that in spoilers. And then the other two, one, I'm like, that's not going to end like that. They're not going to do it that way because that's just stupid. And then the second one, I'm like, okay, that was unexpected, but it ended up going nowhere. So, but they do have some strong emotional moments in there, especially one really big one that we'll talk about when we get to spoilers. The fight scenes I thought were really well done. Not as great as Dark of the Moon or anything like that, but still pretty good. It was still fun. This was a fun movie. This was a good fun movie. So there are definitely a lot of positives with this movie, more so than negatives in my opinion. There are some people who are going to be mixed on it, and that's fine. Now, some of the negatives that I have on this, which really there's only two. The tease at the end, some people will not be so thrilled with. I thought it was okay. I mean, it makes sense. We'll get into that in spoilers. And then the emotional scenes. There's like 3 major emotional scenes. Only one of which actually sticks, because the other 2, they don't go anywhere. But then, like, the only other thing I say that's a slight negative is, like, I'd say that certain characters weren't used to their full extent, but it makes sense of why they did it that way. They're trying to build up, future stuff and whatnot, and they're trying to set up how certain characters work. It's definitely a building up type movie. Kind of like laying the groundwork before you actually start putting something together. So, and that's, I think, what Hasbro's trying to do. Is kind of rebrand the Transformers franchise. So that was definitely fun. So, all in all, before we get into spoilers, I'd say this movie is a solid 8.5 stars out of 10. Because, while yes, it has its plot holes, and it has its things that don't really make sense, it was still a good movie. And it was still one of the better Transformers sequels. This was definitely better than Transformers The Last Night, Transformers Age of Extinction, and Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and slightly better than Transformers 1, but it can never beat Transformers Dark of the Moon, if you ask me. That one can never be beat so far. And it was definitely better than Bumblebee. But Bumblebee did have some really good shots in there. Obviously, the opening scene of that movie was hands down some of the best Transformers actions that they've ever shown on screen, but a lot of that was done for fan service, and I know people are like, oh, just give us a movie set on Cybertron that's live action. You guys know how expensive that shit would be? That scene alone was extremely expensive. And that's why it's only in that's why it's the opening scene. It's like, let's get our most expensive scene out of the way. We'll go on to the next stuff. Go from there. That's why they're making a animated prequel that's going to take place on Cybertron that hopefully will be in the same continuity as this. But if not, I'm okay with it. So, yeah, if you guys want an actual live-action Transformers movie set on Cybertron, that's going to cost as much as Avatar 2 did, which was over $2 billion. It's not cheap. So I can understand why they didn't do that. So, okay, now, if you have not seen the movie, click away. Do not watch the rest of this video if you actually legitimately want to watch this movie. If you've already seen it, and you want my honest thoughts on it, let's go ahead and continue. Otherwise, for those of you who have not seen Transformers Rise of the Beast, click away now, go watch the movie, then come back for spoilers. So, there are some deaths in this movie. There are 3 major deaths, technically, but only 1 actually sticks. And I thought the way that they handled that was done really well. So the beginning of the movie opens up with, or actually there's 4 deaths, but we'll get into that. So the movie opens up with Optimus Primal's leader getting killed by Scourge, which I thought was a badass scene. I thought that was so cool, and how he just rips his arm off and then blasts a hole through his shoulder, takes his emblem, kills him immediately. That was cool. And then Unicron shows up, eats the planet. I thought it was really cool. And then obviously it takes a time jump, hundreds of years, to 1994, which takes place about 5-7 years after Bumblebee. So the way that they handled that was really well done. Noah, the main character, is a former military soldier, so I thought that was really well done. He has a small brother who's dealing with some disease, I don't remember what they call it, but he doesn't have enough money to pay for his medical treatments or whatever, so he's trying to make some extra money by stealing cars. He doesn't try to do it, he tries to do it, gets in Mirage, and says, you know what, I can't do this, it's not for me, tries to peace out. Mirage comes to life, and because Optimus calls him, and they go on a mission after, or Mirage has that really cool car chase sequence that happened in the trailers, and then obviously while the other character's name, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, she was dealing with the Transformer key stuff that was inside the Maximal statue thing. So that was really well done. The fight sequence, though, that happened afterwards while they're at the museum, I thought was surprising. Because Scourge has Optimus Prime down on the ground, and he's fixing to kill him when Bumblebee out of nowhere picks up Prime's axe and goes to try to kill Scourge, only for Scourge to stab Bumblebee in the chest. And this happens in the trailer, only to kill Bumblebee off. And I remember I was sitting in the theater and I saw that scene go down. I'm like, they're obviously not going to kill Bumblebee, because there's a shot in the trailer where he's jumping out of an airplane, shooting out all these things. So that does happen later, but he's missing his Autobot logo on his head. I'm like, yeah, I guarantee I knew Bumblebee was going to die and come back to life. They didn't just make a solo Bumblebee movie that basically saved the franchise for some people, only to kill him off in the next movie and keep him... No, I knew they weren't going to kill Bumblebee off and keep him killed off. And then after that, Airazor shows up, and she's like, hey, I'm part of the Maximal group or whatever. I've been separated from my kind for so long, I don't even know if they're still alive. I could be the last of my kind. She saves them, but Scourge shoots her with some thing that infects her, and it kind of slowly starts to take over her. I thought she was going to die of just rusting or whatever, because that seemed kind of like what they were doing, what they were hinting at. And then she gets possessed, well, technically gets taken over the next day. And then this is the scene that almost made me cry, is when she is like reverting back to her evil side and then her good side, and then kind of going back and forth trying to fight this infection. And then Optimus Primal has her like this in a chest lock or whatever, and she says, whatever has to be done, and do it. And she says, do it, whatever has to be done. And he crushes her, and it kills her. And I'm like, oh my god. I was just sitting there like, damn, that sucks, because she finally gets reunited with them. And then the next day, they have to kill her. And I'm like, oh, God. That scene almost made me cry. But it was definitely a really good emotional scene that was well written. It was sad, but at the same time, I knew something like that had to happen to kind of get the team to work together. And then that's another thing why they killed Bumblebee. They had to make that kind of hit Prime hard. And the fact that Optimus Prime hated human beings at the beginning of the movie, and then towards the end of the movie was like, okay, these guys are cool, we can work with them, because of Optimus Primal's teaching, I thought was really well done. And Prime has a very good development and character development moment with that particular thing. But it's kind of funny that his ancestor, Optimus Primal, actually is the one who taught him that lesson, that we've worked with these humans, they've been so good to us and whatnot, and then it kind of leaves Optimus Prime to learn, okay, humans are not bad, we got to protect them. Because beforehand, he did not care. he really did not care. But it's kind of a good character development for him, and I thought it was really well done. Peter Cullen's voice was amazing in this film, along with Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal. I know there was so much hate on the internet for Ron Perlman when they announced that he was going to be playing Optimus Primal, and the original actor was not. But he did. He did a phenomenal job. He did a really good job. Peter Dinklage as Scourge, I completely unrecognized. There were so many good scenes. The final battle sequence was really cool. Like I said in my non-spoiler section, when they resurrected Bumblebee, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely coming back. But beforehand, they kill off Mirage, or they teased him dying, because he sacrifices himself to save Noah, dies, sort of dies, and then uses the rest of his body to what's left of it to latch onto Noah, as an exosuit, which technically was done through the Energon show as well as the G1 cartoon, so kind of makes sense. But then obviously at the very end of the movie they say, oh yeah, Mirage is still alive because they brought him back as, you know, because Noah fixed him. Now to get to the part where everyone will have their own mixed reactions. Hold on, I gotta go take care of something real quick. Sorry about that, I had to take care of a dog real quick. So, where were we at? Oh yeah, Mirage I knew was not gonna stay dead. So now for the big twist, crossover ending that I'm sure is gonna make a ton of fans upset. They make the choice to have G.I. Joe be part of Transformers. Yes, not kidding. That is the end scene of the movie. And I'm sure that's going to make a bunch of fans upset, but to be fair, they basically confirmed that G1's cartoon and the original cartoon of G.I. Joe took place around the same universe. So, it's not that outlandish. And then the mid-credit scene, like I said, is, you know, Mirage coming back to life and is, you know, being a rusty piece of crap car. But still there. So, anyway, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys all later. Bye.